Hello, friends. Today we are going to talk about expectations, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Hello there. My name is Katie McLean. I am an author. I've written 2 books. How to Tame Your Thought Monster is one of them. And I also have a coloring book with with a similar title, Tame Your Thought Monster. It's a color, learn, and feel good book for kids. And I also have a Tame Your Thought Monster app. So thanks for joining me. If you're a replay viewer, you're replaying this on Periscope, you can actually rewind and fast forward now, which is really cool. That's a new feature that they just added, and you can you'll just have to download the latest version of your app, either for iOS or for Android. Excuse me, and oh, of course I have a bubble in my throat all of a sudden. Thank you for joining me. I can't see who joined me because for some reason my screen does not show me the people that come in. So if you'd like to say hi, I'd love to hear where you're watching from, and tell me what your weather's like too. We're having this glorious cool weather for Los Angeles, which it's about the 60s and 70s lately, and it's been really chilly at night, which is so lovely. I'm very, very happy that we're having kind of fall-like weather here, which we never have. So again, if you're just joining me, my name is Katie McLean. I am an author. I'm a life coach. I work with parents and educators and their kids, and I teach really fun tools to make to help you be more kind, to help your kids be more kind. And today we're going to talk about expectations. So what are your expectations? And hopefully I can see your expectations in the comments, although I'm not seeing anything on my screen, so I must be doing something wrong. I need to fix this. So at the beginning, let me actually put this back up again. So here's the definition. I've got actually 2 different definitions for expectation, which I love to look up definitions actually. So the first one is expectation, the act or state of expecting, or the state of being expected. The next definition is something to look forward to, whether feared or hoped for. And for example, we have great expectations for his future, or your worst expectations came true, or that sort of thing. And the third is an attitude of expectancy or hope, which I actually love that one, anticipation. And we have so many expectations in our lives for ourselves, for our kids, for the people around us, especially for the people we love and care about a lot. Usually they're good. Usually, I actually love this word because on the one hand, it's this really positive word and this positive idea of we're expecting the best, or we're expecting some kind of thing to happen, some treat or some surprise in a good way. And when we hold our expectations in that way, it's great. But let me tell you a story about an expectation I had with my son when he was little. So he's 17 now, but when he was a little guy, I was hanging out with other moms and other parents, and they were talking about their kids were going to start playing soccer, or they were going to play basketball or whatever. And I am a huge baseball fan, so I was really excited about my son playing baseball. And I really hoped that he would really love it. I actually expected that he was going to love baseball. And actually I had an expectation that he was going to love all sports, actually. And that was not my kid. So I spent a lot of time early on putting him on different leagues, getting him participating in different groups, and thinking, this will be good for his socialization, and which, it probably was to a certain degree. But I really, really, really expected that he would love baseball as much as his mama, which that was not the case. So we started at T-ball. We started in a T-ball league when he was 5, and my husband and I coached. And that was a good thing. It was really fun for us. We had lots of fun playing with the little kids and coaching them in T-ball. And then and if you're posting comments, I apologize. I cannot see them on my phone. I've got to figure out this Periscope so that I can do this right. But I appreciate you being here and watching. So just think about, since I can't see your comments, think about what kind of expectations do you have? So you have expectations for yourself. You have expectations for your kids. You have expectations for other people that you love and care about, your friends maybe, your coworkers. We actually have a lot of expectations for a lot of different people in our life. And where it can go wrong is, like I was saying, with my son, who I love, love, love baseball to this day. I still love baseball. And my favorite thing is going to a baseball game, especially live, an in-person kind of baseball game. And so I started my son off when he was 5, and then we did basketball, and he didn't love that, and then we did soccer, and he didn't love that, and I kept trying until he was about 8 years old. So for about 3 years, we did baseball and soccer and basketball and all kinds of different sports. And he participated. My son has always been a rule follower. So it was like, if mom and dad said this is what we're doing, and we never forced him or really pushed him, but it was just like, this is what we're doing today. He would do it, and he would try his best. But there'd be many days where he would just be sitting out there like on this field, staring up at the sky, looking at the clouds go by. And it was clear to us at some point that he wasn't having fun. And I finally realized that I had this expectation that he was going to love baseball as much as me. And actually that generally he would love sports as much as me, because when I was a kid, I just loved sports. That was one of my favorite things to do. You could always find me out in the street playing with the other boys. Usually it was all boys. And so since I had a boy, I figured, he's going to love sports just like his mama. And his dad was very athletic as well. So it was kind of a rude awakening to realize that my expectations did not match his. And that's really the point. Sometimes we actually have expectations that are really negative for people. So, there's simple things like we expect our spouse or our partner to behave in the house as far as cleanliness and things exactly the way that we do. Now, I'm the type of person who's messy, and my spouse is not messy. And so he actually cleans up things that I'm not finished with yet. And that drives me crazy. So that's an expectation that is negative. And so the reason I wanted to talk to you about this today was just to start thinking about, what are your expectations for other people? What are your expectations for your kids? What are your expectations, especially for the people you care about, but even people, like in the grocery store line, when someone is right up against me in a line, my expectation is that they're going to give me my space, but not everybody has the same expectation of how to behave in a line. So, when we can actually just start becoming aware of those, all of our expectations, especially the easiest way to start becoming aware of your expectations is when you notice you're irritated about something, or you're irritated with another person. I can guarantee you that there is some sort of expectation there that has not been met, or has not been met to your satisfaction, and because of that, it kind of rubs up against you, and you just start feeling yucky in some way. Disappointed, discouraged, frustrated, whatever the feeling is, that's what happens when we have expectations with other people that are not met. Now, what can we do about that? We can examine our expectations and decide, is this one I really want to hang on really tightly to? Is this one serving me? Is this one serving the people I care about or the people I'm interacting with? And if it's not, then you have a choice to either soften it or let it go entirely or change it in some way. You know, and a great example is if there's someone who you're expecting to stop being a certain way that they are. So, for example, my brother, I have one of my brothers when I was growing up, he was so irritating for me. He just irritated me all the time. You know, if I had understood this as a kid, I would have been able to just say to myself, you know, instead of expecting him to not be who he always is, I could just say to myself, oh, that's just, you know, K being K. I'm not going to say his name because he hasn't given me permission. So, hey, how you doing? Thanks for joining me. I actually see somebody who's joined me. The tags are coming up. Yay, finally. Thank you for joining me. We're talking about expectations. If you're watching this on the replay, you can actually rewind now and fast forward, which is really exciting that Periscope added that. You can actually tell how long a scope is going to be too when you start watching a replay. So then you can know how much time to allot or decide you need to watch it later or something like that. Also, if you're watching on the replay, you can still give me hearts. So if you like what I'm talking about, you can give hearts. So let me just read the second part of this, the second set of definition for expectation. So a strong belief that something will happen or be the case in the future. So for the example of my brother, I had this strong belief, this expectation that he was going to somehow not be himself the next time I interacted with him. And when we were adults, there was this one point where I picked him up from the airport, and I think I was in my 30s or something. I'd had my son, who was about 2 at the time, and the very first words out of his mouth is, "Oh, you got fatter," which at the time was kind of upsetting. But if I had dropped the expectation that he was going to be somebody different than who he actually is, then I wouldn't have been upset by that, by him saying that. Now it's still hurtful, and there's things you can do about that when somebody says a word or a phrase or, you know, whatever, talks to you in a way that feels hurtful. There's definitely things we can do. We'll talk about that on future scopes. But one of the things we can do with our expectations is just examine them, notice whether we are holding on to them really tightly, and if holding on to them as tightly as we are is serving us. I'll betcha a lot of them are not serving you. So if you have a question, I see that there's somebody here. If you have a question about that, or if you want to share your expectation, I'd love to talk with you about it. And if not, you can always email me, katie@katiemclean.com, and it's in my profile. katiemclean.com is my website. So thanks for being here. This is going to be a short scope today. Well, relatively short. I don't know how long we've been on here, but I appreciate those of you who came here live. And if you're watching on the replay, I appreciate that too. And don't forget, on the replay, you can tap the screen and give hearts if you like what you're hearing, or if this is helpful to you in any way. Thanks so much, and have a wonderful day.